Here's how you make relationships last.
Yeah.
If you find anyone that you can meet 3 of their 6 basic needs, then you have a friend or a lover for life.
It's unexplainable. It's unconditional. It's unforgettable. Unstoppable. So intentional. It's so invitable. Indescribable.
Hello, and welcome to his
And her perspective.
What do we do here, Vaun?
This is where we find common ground to harmonize relationships.
Yes. And we do that by having these conversations every single week at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sundays, 4 p.m. for those who are in Central Standard Time. But we are here because we believe that relationships are really important and we have a passion for them. So today we're going to talk about, what do men and women really want? We're going to have that conversation, y'all, and we're going to dive right in. We usually have a segment about what we talk, what we drink, but we're going to go right in because last week we had such a great conversation that we want to make sure we give all the time. And y'all did not come here to find out what was in our cup. So we're going to bypass that, all right? So let's talk real quick. Did you have anything that you wanted to start off with, or you want me to get what you want to do?
I want to, well, first of all, I want to encourage everybody to share this video, do a watch party on your page, and so that others can be invited to join the conversation as well. Because I think this is a full conversation that just that requires a lot of answers, you know. So I think the more the merrier.
Yes, please. Again, if you're watching us right now, first of all, if you are looking at us, say something, right? Say something to us. We would love to know that you're there. Tell us who you are. And if you're not from where we are, tell us where you're looking at us from. We want to make sure that we engage with you because we're not just talking to you or at you. We're talking with you. This whole thing is a conversation and we want to have a conversation with you. So say something, say hello, and we'll say hello back. We promise we will not, if you have any questions, make sure that you put those in the comment section as well. Good day, good evening, Kimberly. Great rise to you. And if you have a question, make sure that you're dropping that in the comment section as well, because we're going to be answering your questions. Be patient with us because we're getting with you. We did not get on Instagram.
Oh man,
we didn't
that's
do
all right.
That. That's okay. We're gonna follow up with. We're gonna drop the video over there. We'll just have to split it like I did the last one. Hello, we got Risa. Risa? Hello, I'm watching from Florida. Thank you so much. We got Katina. Good afternoon from Chicago. We got Jewel listening in from Florida. Hello, Nicole. Peace and light. Hey, Nicole, how you guys doing? Thank you so much. We got Floetta from Oak Park, Illinois. Hey, Derek. Peace, family, to you too. We got some people joining us tonight. We got Ray Jessica over here from Lombard. We got Ayana from Baltimore. We can't pop it up over there because I'm looking that they're on my personal page. What you got over there on your end?
Now I see the same thing you see.
You see the same thing I see? Okay, awesome. I love it. Thank you so much. Look, I want to start off saying this. we're talking about what men and women really want. And I'm going to say something. Hey, Desi, how you doing? From Savannah, Georgia. Beautiful Savannah. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Did I say it Ressa or Risa? Because I said it two ways. I'm not sure which one you're saying yes to, but I want to make sure that I am saying your name correctly. And for those who are new to us, let us introduce ourselves. I am Coach Michelamonè. I'm a certified life and relationship coach because we got some new people on here. Tell them who you are.
Yeah, I'm Coach Vaun, also known as the Love Alchemist. And this is what we do, man. Look, I'm ready to get into it.
I'm trying to get, I know we got Coach
Kokisha. That's Kokisha LaShawn from Arkansas.
Kokisha from Arkansas.
Yeah, his lady,
all right, all right.
Mom. We got us a full house today. Got a full
house today.
Yeah.
Listen, so I would say this, and some people might disagree, and let me know what you all think. But hear me out before you beat me up, right? I'm going to say most people don't know what they want. And the reason why they don't know what they want is because they are inundated with what they don't want. And when you are inundated with what you don't want, you focus on that. So then the wants that you have come out a little bit generic. And I'm going to explain why I say that. But his first lady, their favorite mom, hello from Delaware. Thank you so much. So let me explain a little bit why I say that. When most people think of the things that they want, they're really derived or fueled from the things that they don't want. And when they're fueled from the things that they don't want, and you're trying to say, well, I want this, or I want that. Like, for instance, when a woman has been hurt, or even a guy, because I won't just put it on because men get hurt too. And they say, you know what? They think about the relationships that they've been in. And they go into the things and start saying, well, I want somebody that's truthful. Why? Because they've been lied to. I want somebody that's consistent because they had somebody that's inconsistent. But I think that we need to think about the things that we really want, regardless of what has happened to us. And I think that that's really important because it really then shows consistency in who we are versus the consistency or inconsistency in the things that people and other people are not. What are your thoughts about that, Coach Vaun?
Yep, I like it. Where thought flows, energy goes.
Absolutely.
Right. And, another thing, I think we're so concerned and so consumed oftentimes with what it is that we want. But there's two things. Oftentimes we don't. So there are people out here who want more than what they deserve, more than what they've earned, right? Like some people are fortunate enough to hit the genetic lottery, right?
Yeah.
You have some absolutely gorgeous people out here, attractive, and life ain't fair. Yeah. So you have women are normally or more likely to be judged by their physical appearance, right? Mm-hmm. So the prettier a woman is thought to be, the better her option, the more broad her options are. She's going to have more options than a woman who is generally regarded as average looking, right? But there are ways that you can offset that, right? I've seen some very attractive women with some stank attitudes, right? And I mean, I'm talking about just masculine energy. She doesn't really, her energy doesn't complement her external appearance, right? And then you have some guys out here, same thing. He might be widely regarded as handsome, but he doesn't bring those other components to the table that rounds him out. He's not, like we say, for women, we say you need to be an FBI agent, right? Feminine, beautiful, and inspirational. Mm-hmm. Right? Women need to be feminine, beautiful, and inspirational, and men need to be CIA agents. You need to be confident, intelligent, and assertive, right? Yeah. And so at the end of the day, if a man shows up to the table and maybe he's 6'2" or whatever y'all say the benchmark is, and he's, whatever other attributes he might have, if he's not confident, intelligent, and assertive, he's going to start losing points in the ranking system real quick. And the same thing with women. She can be as pretty as she wants to be, but if she's not feminine along with that pretty, if she's not beautiful, not just on the outside, but on the inside as well, And if she's not inspirational, if she doesn't make us feel good to be around her, then look, you can be as pretty as you want to be, but you're going to start losing points real quick. And then the flip side to that is, do your demands, is what you want attainable? In other words, do the counterparts that you want you?
Absolutely. And we have to pay attention to that, because I always say this: we do not get what we want, we get who we are. So if you are a person that's dealing with low self-esteem, lack of confidence, you're going to attract that, because confident people attract confident people. People with low self-esteem attract people with low self-esteem. And so we try to figure out, well, why do I keep attracting the same type of guy? Then that's when you have to go into yourself and go, well, what is it about me? That's a common denominator about me that I need to fix, so that I am not attracting that same type of person. Kimberly McCant says that people don't know what they want because they don't know who they are. Absolutely. The lack of self-identity causes people to accept limited options. You are absolutely right. That takes me to what I was going to say next. We don't know what we want. We know what we will or will not accept. Mm-hmm. Those are two different things. What will you accept versus what you want? And what will you not accept versus what you don't want? Accepting and wanting are two totally different things. Acceptance is a settlement. Wanting is a desire.
Mm. Mm.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
There's a matchmaker. She's a professional matchmaker, or she retired from matchmaking, but she's also a relationship strategist. This woman, she was talking about how she stopped doing the matchmaking thing, especially for women, because of these unrealistic lists that women tend to have. And I don't know, maybe you can speak more to that, but she was saying that women's expectations are so unrealistic that she just quit the matchmaking game altogether. And now she just kind of helps people with their relationships. And so I think one of the things that we tend to have such high expectations of what we want the other person to bring to the table, that just kind of to the point that I was making earlier, you may want, a woman might want a guy who's a six-figure earner, and she wants to have 2, 3, maybe 4 children, but she doesn't want to have to work after she has these children. Well, this guy has to have a certain amount of money in order to be able to afford that, because 2, 3, 4 children, it's not cheap to maintain a family, especially if you want them to have cars when they're 16, you want them to be able to go to college. So do you qualify for the type of man that you're asking to do these things for you, one? And two, do you bring to the table what it is that he will want in a woman?
Absolutely.
And it's the same thing with guys. You see a lot of guys, this happens a lot with professional athletes. They make a lot of money, but they never develop these relationship skills. Right. All they bring to the table now is a whole lot of money, but they're still socially awkward. Right. But the women are going to come because you're making 6 figures, 7 figures. Right. So you find yourself having all these beautiful women around you. You end up marrying one who never really got into you because you didn't develop those interpersonal skills to solidify the relationship with.
Right. Because real talk, if you're a woman and you want a dude that's making 200 plus and you want him to be in your face, that's not going to be reality. If he's out here, clocking 200,000 a year, you have to know you're going to get a little bit of time. You might get 1 or 2 days every 2 weeks, right? So he's going to be out there hustling and bustling to try to get this money and keep it going. Why? Because he wants you happy. So there may be some things that you have to give up. Now, the dude that you're going to have in your face every night, he Netflixing and chilling with you, he all up in your face, rubbing on your ego. That is a dude that may not be making that much money. So we really have to get to the place where we're really secure in what we really are wanting and not just accepting, because most times when people get what they want, they're not really satisfied. My favorite movie of all time is called Love Affair. And it's a black and white movie with Katharine Hepburn in it. And she's talking to this woman there's a guy who meets the woman and they're on a train and they end up on this cruise. I think it's a cruise or something. And they fall in love, but they really have somebody else. And they're both of them about to get married to other people. And they're kind of taking this vacation by themselves to figure out if this is what they really want in life. They decide that, you know what, we're going to, go our separate ways and live our lives and see if we can live without each other. So if we can't by New Year's Eve, if we can't live without each other, we're going to meet over at what's the tall building in New York? I'm so bad with names.
Empire State Building.
Empire State Building. We're going to meet at the Empire State Building on New Year's Eve at the sound of 12 at the clock, right? And so he goes to meet her. She goes to meet him. She gets into this terrible accident. He thinks that she doesn't meet him, right? Anyway, following back up to this whole part where I wanted to get with the desire, Katharine Hepburn says to her when she meets this young lady while they're on this vacation, she says, it's not getting what you want, but it's wanting it after you've gotten it. That's the most important thing. And many times we actually want things, and then when we get it, we go, oh, that was it? That's all it was? Oh, I really wanted this. And so we really got to solidify that so that we cannot put these things out on other people and then get them, because they may not necessarily come in the package that we're looking for it to come in. So we have to be very specific in the things that we really want and hold to those things.
Yeah. You had a couple comments there. They talking about that movie, I think.
Yeah, Desi says, I love that movie too. I know, it's so beautiful. I love that. Kimberly says, you must first be what it is you wish to attract. Yogi says, love that movie, Love Affair. Yes. Kimberly says, people also base what they want mainly on their current circumstances. When those change, so does what they want. And if you really want something, it's not going to change because of a circumstance.
Right. Now, even outside of the wants, there are some basic needs that people have, right? Now, there are 6 basic human needs that we all have.
Right.
There's certainty, there's uncertainty and variety. There's significance, connection and love. There's growth, and then there's contribution, right? So in certainty, people want assurance that you can avoid pain and gain pleasure. So we look for certainty in that way. But then in the very next breath, we're looking for uncertainty and variety. You know, they say variety is the spice of life. And so what that speaks to is the unknown, the need for the unknown, change and new stimuli. Then there's in significance, we look to feel unique, important, or special, and even needed to some degree. And love and connection, that's kind of self-explanatory. We want that strong feeling of closeness and union with someone or something. Growth, we have a need for expansion or capacity. We want to do more and be more.
Right.
And then contribution, we feel a sense of service and helping others and giving support to others. And that's kind of what you and I are doing here. We enjoy helping others. But here's the thing. We all have these 6 needs, but we have them we have these needs in different orders. Right? So for one person, they may have certainty as their number 1, whereas the next person might need less certainty in their lives. And so they might need that feeling of significance more than another person.
Right.
But here's the kicker. If you find someone, this is how relationships last. This is the secret. I don't just tell this everywhere, but I'm going to tell y'all since y'all tuned in with us on the His and Her Perspective show today. Here's how you make relationships last. Yeah. If you find anyone that you can meet 3 of their 6 basic needs, then you have a friend or a lover for life. Yeah. If you can just meet 3 of their basic needs. But the thing is it's not just about finding someone who will meet yours. It's also about finding someone whose needs you're willing to meet as well. And of course, that takes communication, good conversation, and all of that. But those are the 6 human needs. We all have those, albeit in different orders. But you find someone you just meet 3 of their needs, and you got a friend or a lover for life.
And the thing about it is, especially ladies on this one, we have to understand that women and men do not communicate the same way. So our desires come out differently. You know, women are taught very little when we're kids to be nurturers. We are given the pink rooms, we're given the baby dolls, we're told to go feed your baby, go change your baby's diaper, go love on your baby, go hug your little brother, go all of these different things, right? Men, on the other hand, are told to go be tough and to go create wealth. And so because of those things, their focus is totally different than ours. So when they're focused on the building processes of their lives and getting that money, then they may look a little different than us doing it. So we're looking for them to assert that there goes that assertiveness. We're looking for them to assert love, but they're asserting the love in a different type of way. They're doing that by trying to be providers and working to do that to make sure they have exactly what they need. For us, right? So when we're looking for them to give the attention to us, they're figuring, well, I've been out working 5, 6, 7 days a week. Ain't that attention enough? And we have to understand that they're not wired like us. We're wanting them to go, oh, I'm just so in love with you. And let's come over here and let's just spend time together. I'm about to give y'all a real good key, ladies. You want your dude to spend more time with you? Give him a task to do with you. Don't just say, come on over, let's just Netflix and chill, let's watch a movie and spend some time. No, say, you know what? I was thinking that I really was looking to do something to my deck. You know, can you come and go to Home Depot with me and help me choose the type of wood? That's going to be you spending time with him, and he has a task to do. Because that will be him trying to, okay, well, now we on goal. Men are goal-oriented. They want something to do and focus on. Spending time, there's no focus there. To us, it's a focus. We're sitting there going, okay, well, I just want to spend time with you. And he goes, okay, and what we're getting out of this? Now, even if you told him that you're going to get some at the end of this, that's his focus. And then when you say that and he's coming straight in the door trying to get there, now you like, well, we're not going to spend time. He's like, well, you told me I was coming to get some. So we gotta know exactly how our guy or how our woman actually communicates. And that's with us paying really close attention and sometimes getting some help from coaches such as us.
Yeah. Yogi Siri just made a real good point. She said, men need to feel needed. And I think that's one of the differences between men and women. Women have a sense of needing to feel wanted, and men have a sense of wanting to feel needed.
Yeah.
And, but you know what I found real strange is that there's some people out here that are throwing away some real good relationships.
Yeah.
And I think
the grass is green on the other side.
Yeah, and I think Hollywood has a role to play in that, you know, between music and TV and movies. There's this, they inject these ideas that it's always supposed to be sparks flying. And if it's not a continuous level of sparks flying, maybe that maybe the relationship is dead or going dead or dull or whatever. But the reality is, man, the longest, most healthiest relationships and the relationships that have the longest level, the highest levels of sustainability, they tend to have more levels of normalcy going on than all of these sparks. And sure, they still have their sparks and everything, but probably at least 70% of the time, man, they just chilling, you know, and relaxing and enjoying each other's company. And you don't have all that drama.
Did you all know that they say there's a study? Let me read this one real quick before I say that. Kimberly says she can't base a relationship just off of money. Money is important, sure. However, the same way money comes, it also goes. I'm not looking for a broke man. I just want us to be evenly yoked. And then Katina up here says, this is why you stick to your principles, but it's flexible on your preferences because it can change with maturity. That's when she was talking about the whole changing the circumstances and the wants. But they say that a man that is older with less testosterone is more chilled and cooled. He's the one that he's not as wild because the testosterone makes him create the risk, makes him want to be more adventurous, and that testosterone is making him seek more women. That's something I found out, y'all.
Okay. All right.
I'm a little nerd. I'm a little nerd, y'all.
I can smoke a bag of that.
So listen. So I think that, okay, so let's do this. Give us in the comments section one thing that you want, or give us two. Give us two things that you want out of a relationship that are solid wants that will not change versus don't matter about the circumstances, y'all. Okay. She said must stay grounded and not so romantic. Now that's something we should discuss, because the romanticism, do you think that romanticism is something, Vaun, that has been ignited by entertainment, the entertainment sector of this world, or do you think that that comes from us? What do you think that fires up at?
So,
is that making sense?
Yeah. The romance aspect of relationships is a pretty new phenomenon. Like over the last maybe 100+ years or so, relationships were built much more based on necessity in centuries past. But now that people don't need each other for the same things. We do, but and again, we've evolved to a point where, now that women are able to be more self-sufficient, they make their own money, and so they don't necessarily need men for that as much as they used to. And so now women's demands have come more to the forefront, and now there's so many things that have happened in our society that men have become a lot more picky than we used to be. And so romance is part of one of those things that keeps the attraction, it keeps the spark going, keeps the flame lit. So I understand the need for it. I understand the desire for it, but it is a relatively new phenomenon.
So, but what is romance for men? Because romance for women is different. Romance to us is kind of like dinner. You come in with some flowers. You go into it's steamy and hot. You picking us up, and those types of things are romantic because we got these books, we got all these love romances, we got the TV, we got all these things. But romance to guys, what is romantic to a guy?
First of all, y'all need to stop reading them books.
Right.
Stop reading them books. We can't compete with those books. I think it varies from person to person. For me, I'm pretty simple. I like to see, if the room is, dimly lit, we got a little something to sip on, got some music, and my lady is wearing a little teddy or something, sexy, then I don't really need anything more than that.
Yes.
But my lady, she needs the mood needs to be set a little bit. She needs a little bit more than I do for that. And so, but men, we typically don't need nearly as much as women do. I think for the most part, we do the romance for y'all. For the most.
Yeah. So we got some comments coming in. So we got Desi says trust and love. We got Kimberly. She says she want my reflection. Oh, what does that mean? I want to know what you mean by that. What do you mean? You want your reflection? Are you saying that you want someone that reflects who you are? Katina says covering and love. Go ahead. You read some.
Let's see.
She fixed it down here. We'll go back to the one she fixed. Let's go here. She says she loves her Afro-mance.
Yeah. We don't really do romance. I don't even like Roman numerals. But
she want her Afro-mance.
Yeah, it's all Afrocentric around these parts, but yeah. But well, I guess I should let Kimberly answer her own question, expound on that herself. But she mentioned a reflection, and there's an Indian philosopher, I mentioned his name before, J. Krishnamurti, and he says that a reflection is, your relationship is just a classroom, and that your complement, the person you're in a relationship with is like a mirror, and it's the greatest classroom for self-discovery. So ideally, your mate is a reflection of who you are.
And with that being said, so if you in relationships that are not working out, what you saying about that? Because if you are in a relationship and you're with somebody who's not giving you exactly what you want, I don't want my reflection. Honestly, I want a contrast. It keeps it a little spicy. It keeps me on my toes. It does not allow me to get relaxed. Let me tell you why. Most times, and think about this, just the way, as simple as I'm saying it, when most people go into the mirror unless there's something that has drastically changed in their figure, in their face, in their appearance, they don't necessarily pay close attention to it. Why? Because they see it every single day. Unless you got, if I go in the mirror and I'm getting ready and there's this huge pimple, I'm going, oh my God, huge pimple, right? But if it's nothing changed and the same spots are there, my eyes, whatever is there is still there. There was yesterday and the day before and the day before. Unless there's something drastically changing, I'm not going to pay attention to it. I want something that goes, oh, I see a little shadow over there. Oh, that look gray hair. I want the contrast because it keeps me alive.
Yeah. Well, Kimberly said, my reflection is the masculine image of myself. I love me some me and love others based on the application of truth.
I love
it. And it's to that point that, look, when we talk about reflection, you will never find a man who gives you exactly what you are, in the sense that, when you look in the mirror, pimples and, the bun on top, you're never going to find that. What you'll find is a masculine reflection of the energy that you put into him, and vice versa. So that's kind of, so how it says, the good word says you treat people the way you want to be treated. Well, in a relationship, that doesn't always necessarily work when you meet strangers, but in an intimate relationship, the way you treat your mate is going to be directly reflected. Now that's considering you have somebody who's of sound mind, healthy emotionally or whatever, right? The way you treat them is going to be reflected in the way that they respond to you.
Yeah, I get that. So she says that we should have had some people to pop in. We have to do that the next time. Have people where we can invite them in real quick. They pose their question and then we talk about it.
We can't do that right here, can we?
We can. Let me see if I
want to pop in.
Katina, let me see. Who would like to come on and have a chat with us? Drop that in the comment section, because you may not want to be on right now. But if you want to come on and explain what you mean, let us know and we'll drop in the invite and you can pop on in with us real quick. Let's go back up to some of the ones that said, Risa said that she wants communication and trustworthiness. Yogi says building an empire, supporting, expanding into our higher selves. I love that. Yogi said that part. And where we at? So Katina says that I don't want a reflection. I want a life partner. It's our differences, absolutely, that complement each other. That's what I'm talking about. Kimberly says she found him, girl. Woo, you go ahead. She said, better said, the universe has connected us. I love that. Yeah. So Yogi says so let's hold on. Let me see. Let me go. Hold on. Keep them entertained real quick while I see if y'all
get them. Yogi said she will. Kimberly said she will. So we'll do one at a time. Maybe we get Yogi first.
Yeah, we get Yogi first. Hold on one second.
I'll read more comments. His first lady says, love and support. Those are the two things she's looking for. Not being in love, which is fleeting, but being able to care about me eternally. Support, but not financially support, which is fleeting. But being able to be my constant support despite what I need. I can dig it.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is because I can't find you all as friends from our business, because we're going from our business page. I'm gonna ask when I drop this link that Yogi goes first, and then once Yogi comes out, we'll ask Kimberly to come on in. So I'm gonna drop the link. Please do not just jump in, because we will just push you back out. So. So just go ahead and click on Yogi, and then click that link I just put in there, and then we'll invite you in. Kimberly, you can go ahead and click it as well. We'll just keep you in the background until it's time for you to come on out. So did you read all the rest of them that we had here?
Yeah, I think that's it for right now.
Yeah, so I think so over here on my personal page, we got some other people who came in. Thank you so much, Yolanda, for coming in.
I got a couple more.
Some more?
Katina Griffith said covering and love. My wife said trust and love.
Yes, I
And
love that.
I think those are the only ones that I see right now. I think that's
Okay.
it.
I can't get this. Oh, she says, Kimberly says love and romance. I can't see the rest of it. It went up to more. But yeah, so when you all come on in, we'll click you in. Let's click that out. Kimberly out.
She said it's not clickable.
It's not?
Maybe
Because
you
I can't,
can
because
copy and paste it. Maybe you can copy and paste it into your
yeah. Can you
browser.
right copy and paste it in there?
Make sure y'all camera ready now. Make sure you camera ready. Make sure you ain't got no sleep in your eyes, and
because this will be posted on our YouTube page, and it's also over at we're streaming live from both of our pages at Coach Vaun the Love Alchemist and Coach Michelamonè, as well as our Periscope and our YouTube, and it will be dropped in our IG on later on this evening as well. So while we're waiting for them, one of the things that I wanted to talk about as well is us disclosing. What do you think? So you talked about the 6 things and that we both need. But what if you say your top 2 things as a man would be? What would be those top 2 things?
My top 2?
Yeah. Or generally, because we're speaking, you coach men. So what do you hear your clients say?
I think as much as anything, men, generally speaking, want to feel significant.
Yeah.
And again, it's that idea of wanting to feel needed.
Yeah.
So, and then men, well, I speak to myself on this one. For me, another one is growth. I'm constantly learning. You and I talked about this.
Yeah.
I'm learning hours upon hours every single day because I don't like not having the answers when people ask me stuff.
Right.
That's something that drives me. And I love for people to ask me a question and then I can respond intelligently or in a way that they can resonate with. So for me, I would say though, the first 2 things are significance and I don't know, maybe growth, but connection and love is pretty important too. I think connection is a strong one. So I would say for my top 3, because I don't know that I can just round it out with 2, but I would say number 1 would be significance for me. And then, probably connection and growth / contribution would be all in the same vein for me.
Yeah. For me, I think that, I want to be respected. That's first and foremost. I want to, because I feel like if you respect me, then you'll love me because you're going to make sure that you're not doing anything that's going to go against who I am and what I stand for. And so that to me is love. My thing, I want to make sure that a person is understanding me. And one of the things that we have to keep in mind is that we need to work to be understanding more than we're working to be understood. And in so many times, we're so busy trying to be understood that we're not seeking to be understanding. And what that simply means is that we really need to make sure that we're hearing our partner and seeking out the desires that they have. And if each party is doing that, if you're in a relationship where you're seeking to be understanding and to seek out what their needs are, and they're seeking to be understanding to you and filling out what your needs are, then everybody's seeking each other and everybody's winning. It's a win-win situation. But if you're always me, and then the other party is me, what are y'all doing that for?
Yeah.
To me, that just doesn't make any sense. And then if I go into a third thing, communication is key. I'm a communicator. I talk a lot. And I don't really talk just to be talking, because if I don't have nothing to really say, I'm quiet. I'm really a quiet person at that point. But so those are my top 3. Now, I guess y'all couldn't get in, huh? Because it's clickable when I go to my page. I'm able to click it right there.
Let me chime in for a second, just for the record. When I was talking about those 6 human needs, respect is not one of the ones on the list, but it would, I think, fall under significance. As much as anything else, I think Because if you're significant, huh?
There she is. She came in. Okay. Let's
Yeah,
bring Yogi on in.
yeah. Let's
All
bring
right. We're
it.
going to add Yogi to the stream. Hi, Yogi. How are you?
Hi, I'm hearing double. Maybe I need to close or mute
Yeah,
this
close one of
side.
them.
Yeah, we have to mute your Facebook.
Yeah, but just so I'll run down those real quick while we're waiting on her to get the doubles. The 6 human needs are, for those who want to know, they
Trying
are
to figure out how to
certainty.
stop the back.
One more time.
Good, how are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. So, explain to us what do you believe? What do you want out of a relationship? What are your desires that you have? Are you currently with someone? Are you single? Are you married? What's your status?
I'm currently technically I'm married right now, but I'm actually in the midst of a divorce.
Okay, okay.
Hold
Okay.
on. I think I'm getting feedback because I hear the stream and I'm on video.
You have
Yes.
2 different windows open,
Mute your Facebook. Mute your Facebook.
Okay.
or at least turn it all the way down. You might even be able to. You might even be, yeah. Just turn it all the way down, if nothing else.
Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
You
Can you
fine.
hear?
Okay. Good. I just closed out Facebook altogether because it wasn't anywhere for me to
There you go.
Okay.
pause. So if you could repeat the question, please.
So I was asking you, you said that so we found out your status. What is it that you're desiring out of a relationship? If you had to go with what you really want, do you really know what you want out of a relationship?
Yes, through trial and error, it definitely brought more clarity as to what that actually is. I just find myself I'm not the romantic type when it comes to relationships. I'm like, okay, what kind of business can we put together? How can we build? How can we, take things to the next level financially, not just for ourselves, but for the children and generations to come. So that's really my philosophy when it comes to relationships.
And so, did you hear what she said? She's at trial and tribulation that goes out of that wants or not wanting into what you want. So if you were to think of not thinking of what it is that you went through and wanting, but what just out of what do you want regardless of what you've gone through?
There you go.
What I want regardless, because I definitely don't use that as my decision making for forward move, and I do keep my goal orientation in play and in focus. So that would be to have the partner that is going to be a good accent, if you will, or a good complement to the goals that I have already, and incorporate whatever his goals are and merging them together, to a balanced, acclimatic disposition, for it to merge so we can still stay our unique individual selves and still stay in touch with who we are, but merging them together to optimize each other at the same time. Like if he's weak at something, I'm strong at something, I compensate there, and vice versa. And not get too caught up in ego and not get too caught up in gender role, even though I do believe gender role has its place, but at times you have to be flexible. So I think it's really important to stay focused on being flexible and meeting each other where, within reason, where they need to be met. And with that, I think merged together will allow everyone to feel like they're not getting the short end of the stick. And then of course, adding communication. This is we have a lot of communication will have to be entailed into what I just said to be able to make sure everyone's on the same page throughout the whole process. So that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. So did you hear her have to talk through that? She had to talk through that.
Oh
And
yeah.
so in talking through that, she started out very, 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 very vaguely. And then she began to start to pull out some of the things that she wants. And it had nothing to do with the things that she didn't want. She started to talk through those. And so that's the reason why I said that is because when we first start out with our fuel, that fuel on top, what I talked about last week, with the things we don't want, then all we're going to really do is self-implode and start to pull out of that the things that are just really negative still. But when you're talking through it and you're trying to figure it out, you go from this really general thing to now she's talking about, okay, I just really want somebody that's really communicative. I want somebody that's really flexible. I want, so you start to pull those things out. So it's really important that you kind of really dig and go deeper to figure out exactly what you want so that you can get it. What do you say about that, Vaun? Real quick, Kimberly, go into your messenger. I sent you the link there. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's spot on. I mean, I think nothing else need to be said. Really, you hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Yogi, for sharing that with us. We really appreciate that. Thanks for sharing. And make sure that you share and meet us back here next week. And we're going to talk about some more stuff, okay?
I'll be back. Thank you.
All right.
Take care.
All right.
So so Kimberly, I sent the link in your messenger. I had to request you as a friend in order to do that. So it may not pop up until you get my friend request. But
if nothing else, because
we'll get it next week.
Yeah, we can get it next week if nothing else. So it's cool.
Yeah.
It's a new thing that we trying. It might be a new wrinkle that we add to the show. It's cool.
Yeah. So Kimberly's Pace, she says, I think communication is important too. I seek to understand others as I want to be understood. That's very important. Let me tell y'all 3 things. That's part of the 3 things that are key when it comes to communication. Effective communication is making sure that you can effectively convey exactly what you mean and what you say. And a lot of times we don't know how to do that because we're too busy just trying to get out our thoughts. So it takes communicating is a skill. It is not something that we're born with. It's something that you have to cultivate and you have to learn how to do that effectively. Yeah, we can blur out what we're thinking, blur out what our mind is telling us to blur out. But being effective and strategic in your conversation and being able to convey that information so that the other person can then hear, conveying the message effectively, can hear it effectively and get exactly what you meant without you having to go into, and what I really meant was, okay, let me explain it this way. That's not effective. That is you just saying stuff, right? And then the third part is making sure that you're seeking to understand them versus you being understood. When you get those 3 parts into communicating, that's when you're effectively communicating. And it takes strategy and skill in order to do that. It's not something that just comes to you. Because we're adults.
Yeah, and there's a responsibility in effective communication too. It's your responsibility to make sure that the person receives the message the way you intended it to be received
the first time.
Yeah. And I mean, even if you have to reiterate, obviously the plan is to, make sure that you get it right the first time. But again, the responsibility is not on them to, well, let me say it this way. The responsibility is more on you to communicate thoroughly, clearly, and effectively, so that they get the message again the way that you intended it to be received, because miscommunication leads to complication. Right?
Yes,
I got that from Lauryn Hill, and but yeah, it's so easy to get things misconstrued, and text messages is one of these new things now, relatively new. That is the quickest way to make sure that you have the biggest misunderstanding possible. Mm-hmm. And it happens every day. People are trying to have meaningful conversations through text message, and you got to be really articulate and elaborate in order to have an effective text message communication. To me, text messages are for short, quick, to the point type messages. But when you have arguing through text message, that's a no. Any type of real meaningful disagreement through text message, you're asking for trouble.
If your relationship has succumbed to text messaging, then it's in trouble. First big sign, in trouble. You have got to know that if instead of you having those conversations together, sitting down and hashing things out, and you're texting these conversations, your relationship is in trouble.
Yep.
So that is the time to seek out some coaching, and don't think that you can do it on your own. I am a big, big, big believer that if both parties are willing, you can save any relationship. But you got to have both parties in the willing part. Not saying that they know how to do it, because many times they don't know how. Most people that are in relationships don't know how to heal their relationships. But if you just say, you know what, I don't know how we're going to do this, but let's do it, then your relationship can be saved. But you got to have the willing parties. And willingness does not start in a text message. It just don't. You got to come out of that.
There's this quote that says, text message or texting is a brilliant way to miscommunicate how you feel and to misinterpret what other people mean.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's exactly what happens, an overwhelming majority of the time, especially when it's something meaningful. Short, like my wife will send me a text message of a couple of things that she might need me to pick up from the store, things that you can't misunderstand. Get me some tangerines, get me some pomegranates, things like that. But when you start having meaningful conversations through text message, it's real easy to get it twisted. Kimberly McCant says, apparently I'm not supposed to be on live today. It's still not working on my end.
I could give her my business line so that we can hear if she really wants to get on.
Yeah. We can get, we only got 9 minutes now, so
we'll get you on next time, Kimberly.
We'll crack it next time.
One of the things I really want, because I really want this to be something that you have some takeaways with. I really beseech you, all of you who really are in a seeking place where they're trying to figure out exactly what they want, because many times, especially as adults, and we've lived lives and we've gone in relationships and we're with different people, and we find that we have different wants and different desires and different likes because of these people and these circumstances that you really sit down, take some time with yourself and figure out exactly what it is that you want. Not because you're a mom, a dad, a sister, a brother, a husband, a wife, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, not because of those things, but find out exactly who you are. And if you need some assistance, reach out to myself or Coach Vaun so that we can help walk you through these, because we have programs and services that help you figure those things out, that help you figure out who you are now. Because we change. There's a saying that you change every 7 years, and that you go through these metamorphoses, if you will, and figuring out exactly who you are at this time so that you can then start to live the life that you really want to. And a lot of times people are not doing that because they're trying to figure out, well, who am I? And don't let you be a mother where now you're empty nester and your kids are gone and you're trying to figure out, okay, yeah, so what do I do with my life now? So that's what we're here for.
That's wild. It's wild that you say that, because, the typically people have children when they're a little bit younger, earlier in the marriage, and you spend all this time tending to the children. And it's amazing how we lose touch with each other during those years, because it becomes so much about the children that by the time they're 18 and ready to graduate high school and go on and start their lives, a lot of couples are finding out that they don't really have anything in common because they didn't spend the time to make that meaningful connection and establish a healthy and sustaining way to move forward beyond the children.
Right. I'm sorry, y'all.
And what's really supposed to happen during that time period is that you should be solidifying the foundation so that when the children do leave, that's when it's your time. That's your time to shine. Those are your twilight years, if you will. And so when you become empty nesters, you're supposed to play.
Right.
We all live in the same, we bought a big house, and now all of the children and grandchildren live here. Not all of them, but my 2 daughters and their families, their husbands and their children. We all live in the same house. But prior to that, my wife and I were empty nesters for about 1.5 to almost 2 years. And man, we kicked it. I mean, we were all over the place, all over the United States. We had a ball. And now things have slowed down considerably because, they're here. So I can't walk around with my boxers on the way I would like to. But they leaving, y'all. They got about
about 7 minutes.
They got about 30 days. They got about 2.5 and they out of here. And it's good again. Like the rest of it's good.
Right. Kimberly said the quarantine has revealed the truth about many relationship foundations. Absolutely right. Because you sit there looking at each other going, you can't go nowhere. Why are you here? And why are we here? What are we doing? And that's because, again, we talked about this last week. People are getting into relationships because they like each other, because we love each other, because you're kind of cool. When you get into a relationship on purpose and you're setting your foundation on purpose, and why you're together, then even when those children are gone, then you know exactly what it is that you're trying to get to. And it's not, okay, so if you didn't do that in the beginning, now it's not too late to do that. Sit down with each other and figure out, why are we together? Are we doing this because we just love each other? Or are we doing this out of obligation? Are we doing this because we just don't have nothing else to do, or we feel like ain't nothing else out there? Really, why are we together? There has to be some self-inspection. And I tell my clients all the time when I'm coaching couples, there should be minimally, I would say minimally, and this is just really because y'all just so busy. Every 6 months, y'all should be sitting down. I say every 30 days. If you got every 30 days to sit down and go, so how did the last 30 days go? How do we just, what happened? Is there anything in the last 30 days that you think that we need to work on? But if you don't have that type of time at 6 months, mid-year, y'all should be doing a mid-year biannual review. What is happening in our relationship? How do you feel? What is this doing for you? Am I giving you everything that you need? All of these types of things should be asked. And if sometimes you don't know what to ask so that you don't do it, or you might be even afraid of the answers. So
there's a growing sentiment that kind of like your driver's license, you have to renew your driver's license every few years or so. Some people say you should be able to renew and reevaluate your marriage license every few years. And that's kind of tongue in cheek, but I think a lot of people mean that. And I have this one client, he and his wife, they've been together for the better part of 10 years or so. And their daughter is a teenager now. And they're just waiting the relationship out until she graduates high school so that they can go their separate ways.
Wow.
And I'm like, man, you got about 3 or 4 years left. You could probably
save that.
Wrong. Yeah. And I mean, all this time invested. But so many people resign themselves to let's just wait till the kid graduates and then we can go our separate ways. But the dating game right now, man, is cloudy out here.
Yeah, it's cloudy out here. Sure is. Y'all need to date y'all spouses or husbands or something, because let me tell y'all something. Most people are willing to spend thousands of dollars on a lawyer to get out of the marriage than spend a couple of $1,000s on a 6-month program with a coach that's going to help you build and get it back on track.
Yep.
But if you spend that couple $1,000s on a coach that's going to help you get the keys and the strategies that's going to not only work with your spouse or your partner, but also work with your children, work with your business partners, work with your friends, your family, the people that these are skills that can never be taken from you. Once you get out the lawyer's office and the gavel goes down and the judge says you are now divorced, you can have your name, Mrs. So-and-so. You can go back to your maiden name and sir, you can take this, whatever. You're done. That money is done. You don't get a refund. You can't go file on your taxes. You can't do any of that. But invest that money into a coach that's going to help you get results. That's something that you keep and you're able to then teach your children, because we have not been taught the art of relating. And because we haven't been taught that art, we don't know how to do it. And just because you're 30, 40, 50 years old doesn't mean that you know how to do it.
Yep. And you got people out here throwing divorce parties like it's sweet. And they might be acting like they're having fun during the party or, whatever, taking pictures, doing it for the gram or whatever. But in reality, man, divorce hurts. That's a major loss. And there's nothing fun about that.
Yeah.
So,
because as soon as the people go home and they're home by themselves, and that whole buzz of the divorce party is going, oh, they gonna cry.
Katina Griffith said, "This is why I'm a fan of always dating your spouse." Yogi Siri says, "Great perspective, coach." She was talking to you about that one.
Yeah,
and I think that's
and
it. I think you read that.
Earlier. Great, that's true, Vaun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we got what we got over here. Nothing on this side. Yeah. So
divorce is like
we're gonna have to talk with Kimberly. She said, did you want me to say that, Kimberly, over here? Because she put it in my inbox. She said she has a book.
Ah, okay.
We had to talk to her about this. A book called The Business of Marriage.
And
she got F Your Feelings, the truth about every relationship.
We can let her talk about that. She can introduce that.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about that, Kimberly. We need to bring her on for that one.
Katina said, divorce is like death.
It is. It really is. When I personally know that for sure. We have to really pay attention. Kimberly said, yes. So yeah, we got to talk about that. That sounds good. The Business of Marriage. F Your Feelings, the truth about every relationship. Because it's not about your emotions. It really isn't. We have to get out of our emotions and start to use our emotions for us and not against us. And when we get out of our feelings and we act like that's more important than the purpose of the relationship, the purpose of the marriage or the relationship, we lose track of that. We lose track of that. Kimberly, Yogi said she heard about her book, Kimberly.
You know what's funny about that, though, is as much as we say it's not about emotions and it's not about feelings, at the same time, it does take a certain level of emotional investment to power through those times when things are not so easy. So the thing, there's this quote, I love this quote. It says, emotions make great servants, but horrible masters.
Yes. And so let me be clear. I am not saying that your emotions are not important.
No. I know that. I wasn't trying
I want to make sure they know. You know me. We're business partners, but make sure that they know and understand what I'm saying. And to his point, them being great servants but horrible masters, learn how to master your emotions so that they work for you and not against you.
And it's as much as anything else, it's about directing your own mind on what to be emotional about. So so it's this idea of people spend so much time majoring in the minors.
Yes.
We spend major amounts of time on minor things. And so this thing about your emotions being important is, to the point that Coach Michelamonè was just making, and even to the point about the book that the sister Kimberly was talking about, F Your Feelings. It's more about investing your feelings and investing your emotions in the things that will sustain you and lift you beyond those points, as opposed to being emotionally invested in the things that so many different media outlets are telling us to be emotional about, things that are really, at the end of the day, are insignificant.
Yeah. And so that goes back to the wants of what we really want. We need to ask ourselves, are the things that we really want, are they really significant? Do they really matter? Are the things that you want, like you have people, let me go back to what you said earlier, Vaun, about the matchmaker. When I meet with my clients with matchmaking, one thing for sure, I let them know we're not dealing with these superficial things. I'm not looking for somebody that's 6 foot tall. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not going to get nobody that's 5'9" and have her a guy with 5'6", right? We're not doing that. I'm going to make sure they look good together. But that is not my major focus. My major focus is making sure that they are compatible with the desires of their lives, with where they want to go in life and what they're trying to seek and get out of life. And when you find that, you can find all those other things, because I promise you, if you got a person, if a guy, and that's what we talked about last week, if you got a guy who got a woman who respects him, who is looking at him as being ambitious, and she's building him up and saying, oh, baby, you got this, you can do this. She can be almost, and I'll say this really lightly because I know that guys are visual, but she can almost be butt ugly to the other woman. And she'd be like, why he with her? Because she is stroking his ego, honey. She's making him feel good. She is helping build his empire. That is why he is with her. The same thing for a woman. If the right man came and said the same things, we'll be like, he is ugly. How he get with her? Because he is doing and saying the right things. So we have to get out of the superficial lane and get into what we really, really want out of life. Where do you want to be at 93 when you're sitting on your porch in your rocking chair with your partner? What do you want to be discussing at the end of the day? What do you want to say, baby, man, look what we did. We did that. We did this, and that. What do you want those things to be?
Yep. And I guarantee you, if you're 75 years old, sitting on your porch and you 5'9", you don't care if he's 5'3". You care that you're not alone.
Exactly. Because it's not cool out here. Yogi says the emotions are not stable. The mind is not to be the guide. The heart of the matter needs to be focused on for growth. Absolutely. Read the go ahead.
Katina says, I'd love to see more men on these lives. We have to change the narrative and prepare both men and women for marriage, not just women. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yogi, the ebook is on Amazon or Amazon Kindle.
I love it.
Shameless plug. Go ahead, sis. Let it shine.
And you are, Katina, you are absolutely right, which is why one of the things with men is that they don't want nobody telling them what to do, but they want the right person telling them how to do it. If that makes sense.
You're not going to just talk about men like I'm not sitting right here.
Okay, my bad. I mean, you see how my brother just checked me? I'm the oldest. But go ahead, because I submit to the manhood. Now, okay, brother, tell the women why the men are not on this live.
Well, I mean, look, this is the first time that we've ever added anybody to the live. So normally it's just me and you, but we definitely open to the possibility of having other people on. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. So this is the first time we ever did that. That just kind of came off the cuff. We were like, hey, let's do this. Okay. Because people were on here. Right. So
but you're right, though. You're right. To your point, though, men, we typically feel like we do have the answers. And so unfortunately, a lot of us, a lot of brothers don't come to me until it's almost too late. They'll literally watch their relationship go down in flames. And then right when there's just a few embers of ash left, they'll come to me and say, hey, man, what can you do? I'm like, man, you should have came to me 2-3 months ago, 6 months ago, and a lot of times I'm still able to help out quite a bit. But the sooner the better, but unfortunately, I find a lot of men are coming to me after the relationship has dissolved. And now they're just looking for a way for me to help them gain some emotional stability, as opposed to a relationship that could have been salvaged.
Yeah. And they really, Derek said, he said, he right here. We see you, Derek.
That's my little big brother.
Right. But the thing is that's where women need to be strategic. You're not going to get him to come to coaching. We need to go see somebody. I mean, like, you don't talk to me. No, that's not going to happen like that. He needs to see, again, men are goal oriented. They need to see results. They need to see something working. And if you are working with a coach and they see that you're shifting, they're going to go, wait. So who you been talking to? And you're like, well, what's wrong? Is something wrong? Oh, no, baby, something's real good, because you just like changed. You're not as loud as you used to be, or you're not as argumentative, or you're not this. He's going to be like, well, do you think that can help both of us? So women lead. I think that was you, Coach Vaun, that said that women lead the relationship. Did you say that last week? That
No,
women are the ones. It wasn't you. You didn't say that.
what, that women lead? I ain't never said nothing like that.
You know
Wait.
what? You know, I can't with you. Women lead the emotional temperature of the relationship. How's that? I said it.
Maybe that was you that said it then, because
Women lead the emotional temperature of the relationship. And how the emotional temperature of the relationship is going is typically how that woman is leading it to go.
I disagree.
You disagree?
Yeah, I think that
it's a second disagreement we done had, y'all.
And it's okay.
It's all right.
It's okay. But I think that women tend to have more emotional fluctuation than men do in general.
Right.
And so the more grounded and the more stable a man is, then the more emotionally stable the relationship can remain. So, for instance, there are times where my wife can get exceptionally excited. I'll just use that for lack of a better term. She can get excited about a thing, and maybe she's real mad about something. And she might start off yelling. She might get real passionate about it or whatever. And if I meet her there, then it's going off the rails. But if she's here and I stay here, then all of a sudden she comes back down to where I am. You see? So I can say, look, we're not having an argument. We're having a disagreement, but we can disagree peaceably. We don't have to be disagreeable just because we're disagreeing. And so if I stay here, she'll come back down here. But if she's here and then I go here, all of a sudden we both going off. So I say that men are more likely to control the emotional temperature of the relationship.
Yeah, we're going to disagree with that one because we talking about 32 years in and you're a life and relationship coach. I ain't going.
You ain't going?
I ain't going. Let me
ask my wife. Ask my wife how it go, Debbie. How it go?
I just told you, man, 32 years in, man. 32 years.
Look, I'm trying to tell you
let's talk about the okay, let me ask you this.
Okay.
Not thinking about where you are. I need you not to think about Coach Vaun and where you are 32 years in. We're talking about before you figured this thing out, at any point in time when your relationship needed a little nudge, a little help, were you the one that said, let's get some help, or was your wife? If you ever was at that point. I don't know if you want to,
That's different because
that's what I was talking about.
Well, see, now here's the thing though. In the earlier going where my relationship was in trouble, it was my fault.
But would you have said that?
I did say it.
And you said, let's get some help?
Yeah, but she said no because look, see, I'm giving y'all a little bit of my business now, but she said no because she knew that all I had to do was square up and then things would be all right. So okay. I was acting up. I was a knucklehead. I wanted to be in the street. I wanted to, I wasn't ready. I was immature. And so she said, we don't need, look, I was the one saying, let's go to counseling. Let's do this. Let's do that. And she said, we don't need any of that if you would just do what you know you're supposed to do. And so.
But did you know what you were supposed to do?
Yeah, in a sense, I did. I mean, I did get some guidance from other men, but I wasn't nearly as far off track as far as knowing what I was supposed to do, as much as I was in behaving the way that I shouldn't have been behaving, if that makes sense. So so I was behaving in contrast to the way that I knew I should have been behaving, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. I guess to my point is I'm saying that many men in these situations, for instance, the mere fact that the sister Katina said more men need to be on these lives, right? Yeah. Need to be hearing how to help the relationship and all these things. Why? Because they think that they know it. Like, for instance, I invited 200 people, and most of the people I invited were men.
Okay.
To this live today. And they didn't show because they think they know. I don't need this. Like I have people because people don't like Steve Harvey for whatever reason. They don't like him. He's a buffoon, all these things they say. My thing is you don't like him because he's telling the women what to do. and you feel like that, you know, that's just my opinion, my IMO, right? But if my mantra is this: if you've been doing it for 30, 40, 50 years and you still not where you want to be, then that means it ain't working. You need to do something different.
I think one of the reasons that people don't like Steve Harvey, especially men, is because hey grandson, y'all pardon me, my grandson. What's up, big man? So one of the reasons that people don't like Steve Harvey, you want to be on TV? Come on.
Hi.
Y'all. So one of the reasons that a lot of men don't like Steve Harvey is because, all right, that's it. Love you. Bye-bye. One of the reasons that a lot of men don't like Steve Harvey is because what Steve Harvey is going to end up leading a lot of women to do. He knows that a lot of these women are going to end up following his advice and growing old alone, right? Because he's giving women this advice that in many ways teaches them to overvalue what it is that they bring to the table. And to me, he doesn't teach them in a way that he doesn't lead them in a way that teaches them to serve the relationship, and much more as opposed to much more along the lines of, well, girl, this is what you bring to the table, and he better show up with what he's supposed to have, and da 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 da. And it's just, to me, it's just not a healthy and balanced perspective that he brings to the relationship.
Yeah, I totally agree that he's not 100% right. The reason why I mention that is because how many men are really listening to relationship gurus? That's the whole thing. Whether they believe he's a guru or not, how many men are really listening in and saying things or doing things that are going to better the relationship so that they can ultimately get exactly what they want? Because the thing about it is, you can't have women, like I have my clients all the time. Why is it always the woman has to do all the work? Why I have to do this? Why I have to be the one to say? Because we're the ones that are seeking out the help. Like Desi said, she refused counseling because she was like, no, I knew that you could do what you need to do. But that's normally there's the other party. The female is saying we need some help.
Yeah.
So she said, thank you for your transparency. We can learn from that experience.
Yeah. And I think another reason that look, this whole relationship genre that we're in right now, most of the people that are listening to this are women, and it's because they're catering to women. So
right.
they're saying things to women that strokes the female ego, as opposed to what telling women what they need to do. So I don't know. I'm gonna go here. It might sting a little bit, but I'm gonna go here anyway. One of the things that so we know our community has been attacked, and our family structures have been dismantled.
Absolutely.
And so we have a lot of women that are what are they saying now? 80% of our households are led by women. So you have a lot of young girls and young boys being raised by women. And so women are out here having to strive for themselves, or for a long time they've had to strive for themselves. And so it has hardened women, because they've had to go out and do things that men have had to do,
right?
That men were typically doing. Every other ethnic group in this society, the men were the ones that were doing the hardest part of the work. And
right.
So, but juxtapose that to the Black family, and the woman is having to go and hunt and kill and bring it home and still cook it, far more often than other women of other ethnic groups, and it has hardened her. And so a lot of times women, because of this experience, this unique experience that Black people are having in this country, women are not showing up to the relationship in a feminine capacity, ready to serve in a feminine aspect. And so Black men are looking at Black women like, you know, I need something soft. It's not enough for you to just be pretty. I need you to be soft. I need you to be feminine. I need you to be inspirational, FBI, right? And sisters are like, you know, treating, in many regards, Black women are treating, not just Black women, but I'm talking about us because that's what my passion is.
That's who we are, right?
So in many regards, Black women are treating Black men like an ornament, like an afterthought, like an accessory.
Accessory.
I can get my college degree, I can make my own money, and then I'll just add water, or I'll just add a man later on. I'll have kids when I'm ready. And that's really not how it's supposed to be done. We're supposed to be doing this thing much earlier in life and complementing one another in much more healthy ways than what's being represented.
Right. And see, so when you talk about the feminism, there's these gurus going from one extreme to another. They're either highly feminist, where you're talking about the feminist movement, or they're totally against it. Against being feminist altogether. And I'm a boss chick. I can do my own thing. I don't need a man kind of thing. There has to be that place where you come in the middle and you know that there is nothing wrong with being submissive. There is absolutely nothing wrong with serving your man. That we don't have to worry about when we say, well, my kids come before my man, then you will be by yourself when your kids get grown. So it's so many different things that people have been taught to do the opposite of that really will benefit the relationship, but we've not been equipped to do it. And we need to get back to that. Katina said, just say it. Some of these relationship gurus are preying on the hurt of women. You're right. Exactly. And then we have Kimberly, who says the fact of the matter is that the woman is the master influencer of the relationship. What she accepts, tolerates, and expects, or wants her man to do is based on her own knowing and assertion of her power of self as a divine feminine. That's what I said earlier, and my brother said, no.
That is not the same. Man, if you don't go ahead with all that. That's not how that went.
No, I'm joking, but yes, I totally agree with you. We're the leaders in that aspect, right? Yes, submission is dual-sided, but it looks different. It looks different from a male side to a female side. It just does. We have been coined. If anybody, y'all know who I am. I'm a minister. I live and work by the word of God. We have been coined the weaker vessel. We're not supposed to be out here working 16 hours a day. Not supposed to. Just not. Our bodies were built to bear children. Yes, I'm out here working these hours because I had no other choice. But that is not what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be taking care and nurturing and building what has been given to us. I love how Coach Vaun says that when he takes something, he takes it and he brings it home and his wife multiplies it. That's how it's supposed to be done. We're not supposed to be battling for power. We shouldn't be having alpha situations. But there are alpha females out here, but we should not have that. That's not how it's supposed to be. We shouldn't go, I'm an alpha female, I need to meet me an alpha male. No. When you start battling for that alpha power, then that's where you have the conflict at. We have to learn how to let that go, drop it at the door. When you hit the threshold, everything alpha in you should come out. It should be left, you leave your shoes on the outside if you don't want your carpet to be dirty. Leave your alpha shoes on the outside if you don't want your relationship to be messed up.
I went in on the women a little bit, but I'm gonna go in on the brothers a little bit and where we failed. So I look at so much of what we're experiencing within the context of war, right? And what has happened on the Black family in this country is nothing less than an act of war, right? And so the reality is that it has to be what we once had needs to be rebuilt, right? And so Black people are, we're the only group in America that is more employed by non-Black people than anybody else. So in other words, more Asians employ Asians more than any other group employs Asians. White people employ white people. Hispanics employ Hispanics. Everybody is the biggest sustainer of themselves and of their own group, except Black people. And so what's happening now is that in many regards, a lot of our respect that we should have as men is missing because we haven't reestablished, we haven't rebuilt for ourselves, for our communities, and for our families. And so our women are having to rely on what other men have built in order to sustain themselves at a larger rate than other groups are having to do that. And so this is one reason why I refuse, as long as there's life in my body, and breath in my body, my wife will never work for another man, period. So whatever I build, whatever we build together, whatever we establish, I'm going to get it out the mud. I'm bringing it home, and then we're going to formulate that thing, and she's going to work on our behalf. But she ain't no other man going to tell my wife when she can and can't, when she can and can't take vacation, when she's sick enough to stay home from work. Ain't no other man telling my wife that. That's me.
Right.
And what we're missing is more of that. And so subsequently, our women don't respect our men to the capacity that they could, because too much of that is missing from us.
Absolutely. You cannot have two heads of a household. It's simple. And that's really what, like Coach Vaun says, we're missing that. I tell y'all, we keep talking about these 3 arts that we need to learn. And that's something that we have been working to teach in our masterclass that didn't go off this weekend. We postponed it because we want a larger audience in with that. But we're teaching these things. Why? Because nobody else is doing it. And until we learn how to do that, we will not have sustainability in our relationships, ultimately not in our communities, ultimately not in our generations, and our legacies will then be what they are, legacy-less.
Yeah.
They will be prosperous less. And I know I'm making up a whole bunch of less words, but they're going to be less. And we need to get to the place where we are focused on what we can bring to this world than what we can take out of it. And much of that is in learning so that we can teach.
Yeah.
We got a whole bunch of comments. Let's see. We got Kimberly. She says submission is dual-sided. Derek said, okay, I'm not sure what he meant on that one. His first lady, their favorite mom, says, when we stay in our lanes, everything flows. You go ahead now, Coach. You want to read it some?
Yeah, Katina says, when we all submit, the family works. Men unto God, women unto men, children unto parents. Anything else is dysfunction. All right. She says, his first lady says, yes, we have to be willing to stop being the man when we get a man.
Yeah.
Tina says, bingo, Vaun. All right. Appreciate that. Yogi says, that is divine order. His lady says, and it was all by design. Yep. She's talking about the way our community is right now.
Absolutely.
Kimberly McCant says, women were conditioned to be submissive as slave property, which is why it's combated. Men are conditioned to treat submission as a weapon in order to control his woman, and not to be submissive to the woman because of the power shift. Willie Lynch syndrome. Ooh, she's gonna be fun to have on next week.
She is, and so by design, the Black man was removed from the home on every level. You're absolutely right. But can I go back, because if you knowing the true word of what submission means, to get under the mission, that didn't come just from white man. That came from our ancestors, because the ancestors knew that in order to build their tribe, they needed that woman. They treated that woman with high respect, high authority, because they understood her value. So when she submitted and got under the mission, then it was things that she had to do. There was no fight in that. So the ugliness of submission has, yes, been given by slave property, where we have to, you better do what I say, because if you don't, I'm going to do this kind of thing. But when we go to where that root really comes from and really understand that word, then we won't fight it. But that also comes with trusting that the person that you're with they got your back. They're not trying to harm you. They're not trying to hurt you. And when you understand that, you have no problem being submissive. Kimberly Pace, she says, I wear the skirt.
I'm not sure what you mean by that. I'd like for her to elaborate on that.
Kimberly, tell us what you mean by you wear the skirt over here. And then I come back over there.
Here's another thing that we're dealing with. Our culture has been so fragmented that we have people subscribing to various types of ideologies. And so some people believe in what we call ma'at, where there's balance, there's masculine, feminine balance. And that's, I think, where Kimberly McCants might be coming from. Then there's the biblical perspective of there's God, there's man, there's woman. And so there are different dynamics. And I think Islam might be more in line with what Christianity is. And so there are different schools of thought that are taking place, and we're all trying to make this thing work out of what was dismantled. And it's challenging. It really is challenging. And so trying to find like minds, I mean, there's only so many of us in this country as it is. I mean, they say we represent, 13-14%. And then to find those among us who are of sound, healthy mind and spirit, that's an even lower number, given all of the trauma that we've experienced. And then of that, we have all these different ideologies that we're subscribing to. And so the water gets a little murky. And so one of the things that I try to do is just try to find balance in all of that. And so I help couples with where they are. If you're subscribing to Christianity or Islam, then that's cool. I can do that. If you're subscribing to Ma'at, then I can work within that too. But one thing that I firmly believe is that there is no one of us that is more important or more significant in the grand scheme of things than the other. Because at the end of the day, you can't have life without men and women coming to an agreement on how we're going to move this thing forward. Anything other than a healthy agreement between the two, then you have a whole bunch of dysfunction born out of that, and subsequently unhealthy minded children out here doing all kinds of ungodly things.
Yeah. So Yogi says, what do you say about a man refusing counseling when he feels that it's allowing a man to direct his relationship?
Yeah. So again, that's an ego thing. And it goes back to what I was saying, that some men will rather watch the ship burn down to the last ash rather than to get the help that they need, because it doesn't allow them to, they feel anyway, I should say, they feel it doesn't allow them to stand proud as the man that they feel like they should be. And so in many cases, we have these type of men who are not strong, just aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And there's a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The strongest of us know that we should humble ourselves and seek guidance when we need it.
Right.
Now that's strength.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you a lesser man. Look, I know that if my car breaks in a certain way, I got to go to a mechanic. I can't, no matter how much I want to be the bigger man in front of my woman, I know that if certain things happen to my car, I ain't built for that. So I have to go to a mechanic. Well, what Coach Michelle and myself we are in essence relationship mechanics, right? So if your relationship is broke and you can't fix it, you go to the relationship mechanic. We got all the tools you need, and we get that thing back on track. Yogi said,
she said she called it. You called it. You told her not to marry. I ain't want to put that up there.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
I don't know if I told you not to marry him as much as I said, come talk to me before y'all get married. I think that's my advice. Go ahead.
Can I say this too? Because I don't know this brother that she's, her husband or why, what the situation is. But I really want women to understand that we have, again, Coach Vaun said earlier, 80 to 85% of the households are ran by women. 75% of teachers are female. The majority of our men have been raised in some way, shape, or form by females. Okay, because there's the man in the household is kind of dying out or has died out, right? It's very far and few in between where you have a man in the household raising his son. So with that being said, you have to keep in mind, where is he prescribing this from? Where is he subscribing this information from? How is he getting it? What type of manhood did he watch growing up? Again, these are phases that a man goes through certain phases. And if he's not being guided in those types of phases, he's going to get it from somewhere, whether it's negative or positive. So if he's thinking, if somebody told him, you do it on your own, you go figure it out, then that is where he's saying, well, I got to go figure it out. And if I can't figure it out, it can't be figured out. So you got to understand where your man is and who he is and where he's getting his ideas from, so that you can then say, okay, either I'm going to deal with how he subscribed to these things, and so I can figure out how to strategically still work around those things. Because if you find out that your guy learned from an early age that it is not good for him to get help, how do you go find and show him that help is needed? Using some of the things like Coach Vaun said. Well, baby, you know, you do have to go to the car dealership. I mean, to get your car fixed, right? It's kind of the same thing. A man is fixing your car. Doesn't make you less of a man because another man is fixing your car. When our refrigerator breaks down, because you're not a plumber, you got to get a plumber to come in. Doesn't mean that you're less than a man because you're getting a plumber. So you got to strategically know how to assess your guy, to be able to point him in the right direction so that he can actually understand that this is not a direct attack towards him. And also, if you find that, you know, some situations where me and Coach Vaun offer the two of us to come in so that they can see a balance where there is no attack on him as the man, so he can see that there's a balance there. So that's something that can be offered as well.
Yeah.
Kimberly, go ahead.
Kimberly says some men refuse counseling because it's correction, and correction requires accountability that they don't want. Accountability creates change, and unwanted change is uncontrollable. He cannot lose that.
He can't. And that's because men do not like feeling inadequate. They don't like that. It is a thing that they will avoid at all costs. They'll run before they feel that way.
And you will find also that, and I'm sure you know this, but there are a lot of women who respond the same way to coaching. I've had men who have tried to drag their wives to counseling with me, and their wives simply refuse. And it's not the same way. It's not in the same spirit that my wife refused counseling. I was trying to take my wife to counseling, and while she was the one doing the things that she was supposed to do. So I was, if anybody needed help, it was me, and I just needed to get my mind right. But there are men, I know some good brothers out here, and their wives are, you know, not doing their part, and they're trying to bring their wives in. And so normally it's the knucklehead of the relationship that's refusing counseling to be, you know, and again, it's not some but all, right? Some but not all.
Right. And it's not gender related, actually. It's not just a person who is just so strong-willed that they're just against anything. And again, that goes what Kimberly says, that's that accountability. Nobody wants to feel like, you know, when somebody's trying to tell me what to do, I'm grown, I can do what I want to do. And you can't. You cannot think that you do not need to be accountable to your partner, regardless of how old you are, regardless of if you're a man or a female. There's an accountability that happens when you become one. You cannot crawl into you cannot come together, crawl into each other, and that coming as one, and think that you don't have to say, well, can you move over a little bit? Can I put my foot right there? Is it okay if I slap my arm on this side? You cannot think that you can just go in and just bombard and be a bully, because that's exactly what that is. When you're not willing to accept accountability and help your relationship, you're bullying the other person into just doing what you want to do and how you want to do it.
Yeah.
Kimberly over here, she says, I'm a woman, not the man. The man is or should be the head of household. That's what she meant. She wears
there it is. So, and I don't argue with that at all. Yeah. I mean, you know, your whatever cultural values you subscribe to, they're yours. And so if that's what it is, then we teach accordingly. But one thing that I do know is that there are some very unhealthy ideas about masculinity and manhood being cultivated on this planet. And this is why you'll have some men who will drive an hour, 2-3 hours in the wrong direction before they ask for help, before they'll admit that they're lost. And, you know, and so it's one thing to want to figure it out on your own. It's a whole nother thing to set the family back 3-4 hours, 6 hours, or in this case with relationships, setting the family back several $1,000s or several years in the wrong direction because you were so stubborn that, you know, but this isn't to beat up on men. Again, we've been conditioned with some very unhealthy ideas about what it means to be a man. And so just for a man to admit that he doesn't know, it takes a lot of intestinal fortitude for a lot of men to come to that point, because society has said if you don't know the answer, then you're less than a man.
You're less than. Yeah.
You got a
And
couple comments. You want to read those?
Katina says, this is true. In some situations, some have mentors around them, but they just want agreement in their mess. They still have to be willing to receive help. And then Yogi said, that is a powerful combo for counseling. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Let's reiterate that one time, just for people, if you didn't hear what Coach Michela said. You know, I do counseling for couples and singles. She does counseling for couples and singles. But what we've done is we've teamed up because there are some people who feel intimidated. There are men who feel intimidated by a man. There are women who feel intimidated by a woman. So what we've done is we've teamed up and we've decided that we would do counseling sessions together for couples as a unit. So if you're in that situation where you feel like your relationship might be threatened by one of us or either of us, then both of us will come together and we'll help that way.
Absolutely. So Kimberly says the car scenario doesn't make him vulnerable or responsible. There's no emotional attachment or expectation of perfection from the car, where there is from the woman. There's always a possibility that he will fail. And since he is defined by what he does, he will receive and identify himself as a failure. You're absolutely right. He doesn't want that. There goes that inadequacy that he does not want to feel. And again, that's because of the things that we were talking about that Coach Vaun just said about the unrealistic expectations that have been placed upon men as far as what makes them valuable. And that has not only just taken part in their childhood of being tough and get money, but it also has been taken into the womanhood of when him having adult relationships, that if he ain't assertive, if he ain't confident, if he ain't this and he ain't that, not that we don't want an assertive man, because I want an assertive man, I'm speaking for myself, but we have to know that that doesn't make him. Find out why he's that way. You know, give him the benefit of the doubt without saying, oh, you ain't this way, bad. Find out, because you may have a diamond in the rough. You may have a good man that will treat you kind and be great to you, but because he doesn't come with these superficial shiny object things, then you automatically shut him down. You know, so we have to get to the point of figuring those things out first. And so when he's also told that if you can't come in here and you can't pay for this and can't pay for that, again, that's some other things. And I'm not talking about the scrub dude, the dude that's sitting on the couch with, you know, the playing video games and don't want to work. We're not talking about that guy. We're talking about the guy that's working, but he may not necessarily be exactly where you think he should be at this time. Because I love Coach Vaun. He says, what's your term about people coming and being all ready, but then want somebody else ready? What's your statement?
Yeah, I say that we have. Man, you made me forget my own quote. I say it's not my quote. It's actually T.D. Jakes. He says we have a tendency to want the other person to be to show up as a finished product while giving ourselves all the time and grace we need to evolve.
Yeah.
So we have a tendency to want the other person to show up as a finished product, but we give ourselves all the time and grace we need to evolve.
And women are already, we are further along than men, naturally anyway. So if you meet a guy, you 49, 50 years old, what?
No, go ahead. You're trying to say women are more mature than men. That's what you're trying to say.
We are. We are. You know it. We are. Anyway, so you come in. You done went through all of your journey of finding yourself, and you've healed yourself, and then you meet a guy who is the same age as you, and you're like, well, he ain't healed. He ain't healed. He got to be healed because I went through my journey. If you with your journey, who took you through your journey? Why did you go through your journey? Maybe somebody else needs that push. I am not asking you to subscribe to some dude that ain't worth jack. You know what your gut is saying. You know what your intuition, or whatever you like to call it, Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it. You know when you meet a dude that you like, you know what, if I just poured a little bit, I'm not saying make him or shape him, but just pour it in, because sometimes they may need the building up, the strengthening, knowing somebody has their back, knowing somebody believes in them. And that has not been a subscription that we in our community has subscribed to. We have been told that our brothers ain't this, and oh, what's wrong with them? And wow, and you see that. I mean, I watched this whole thread with over 2,000 people in it talking about how bad the Black brother was. I got mad. And every time I would try to go type something, I would just fall back, because I was trying not to speak out of anger. Like, why are you doing this? What's the point? You know, I'm sorry. That was my soapbox.
You know, I think that I don't know that one of us is categorically more mature than the other. I mean, I've heard that for a long time, but there are a lot of immature adult women, and conversely, there are a lot of mature adult men at the same age range, and so I can't help but to wonder if it's more of a people thing more so than a gender thing, and how you were reared, how you're raised, what environment, what culture, where you grow up, as opposed to just by default, since you're a woman, you're going to be more mature than the man. Now, if a man grows up, if a boy is being raised and and his family, so one of the things that they say about women is that you raise your boys, but you love your you love your sons, but you raise your daughters. Yeah, you raise your daughters, but you love your sons.
Right.
So boys aren't held to the same standard of having to be accountable as the daughters are. And so in that regard, it's the parenting that fails the boy child, not necessarily his gender. Right. But if you have a balanced household where the father calls that boy to task, then that boy is probably going to mature at an equal rate to his feminine counterpart.
But if you don't have the man in that household, then you don't get that.
That's the problem right there.
And that's the problem that we're having. The men are not being raised, the structure. They're not being raised by, they're not being raised by men. And because they're not being raised by men, they're being raised by women to be taught to be. And see, what happens as a woman who has a 28-year-old son who is married, I taught my son how to treat a woman. I could not teach him how to be a man. No way, shape, or form. I can only teach him how to be a man in the sense of how I would want a man to treat me. Meaning that, open the door for girls. Make sure that you pull out her chair. Make sure that you don't call her bees. Making sure that you're kind to her. So these are the sort of things I taught him, but this was being taught as a woman. A man coming in and saying, son, you make sure that when you go to the door, you open the door first. You make sure that you step on the outside of the street, with the street on side. These things come across. They could be the very same lessons, but they come across totally different than when a man is saying those lessons.
Yeah, for sure. It's the little things that end up being so big. Like one of the things that I always heard growing up was that you shouldn't argue with a woman. This goes back to this whole temperature control thing we were talking about a minute ago. Mm-hmm. And so I teach men now, and when I coach men, I tell them never get into a heated argument with a woman. Now, there are a lot of men that are 10, 15, 20 years older than me who still don't realize that as a man, you should never get into a heated argument with a woman. Now, for a long time, I used to say, well, if I'm mad and she's mad, what's the problem? We're gonna drag it out until it gets settled. But what I learned is that there's a different energy being exchanged when men and women argue. And so it is in a man's best interest. Look, women are looking for freedom of expression. Women are looking for freedom of expression with respect to their emotions. Women want to freely express their emotions. And so what she wants is the security to freely express how she feels. Mm-hmm. Men are looking to control our emotions. Women typically are less concerned with controlling their emotions than men are, because men know when we don't control our emotions, people die, people get hurt, things get torn up, right? Mm-hmm. So there's much more at stake when a man loses control of his emotions. So we can't afford to be hollering all, going all. We can't afford to do that, be breaking stuff. And so what it looks like on paper is that the loss of, or I'm sorry, the freely expressing of emotions is feminine energy.
Mm-hmm.
The control of emotions is masculine energy. Well, when a man gets into a heated argument with an emotion with his woman, he is in a battle for the freedom to express his emotions. That's a battle for feminine energy. You see, and so there is no way that a man is supposed to be able to compete with his woman in an exchange of feminine energy. You see, so it is in the man's best interest to control his emotions, even if his woman is freely expressing and yelling and whatever, because in the control is when she will again come back down, as long as he maintains control. If nothing else, if my woman was to lose control of her emotions, I would end the conversation. I would
but you also got the women also have to know, don't keep pushing. You know, if
but
he says,
even in that, the man has to still realize that is part of a responsibility, that men have to know that even if she pushes, you stand to lose a whole lot more.
Yeah.
If you allow her to push you to the point where you lose control of your emotions.
Yeah.
And so it's on us, even still. Now, of course, the woman shouldn't poke the bear. I tell women, you don't poke the bear, right? But still, the man has to be able to withstand some of that poking, because on the other side of that, if he gives into that, it's a problem.
Okay, so then with that being said, Coach Vaun, answer this to me then. If the man is responsible in making sure that he's controlling the temperature of that conversation, then what happens when that woman wants to express that, because her whole MO at that point is trying to get him to understand. So if he's saying, okay, I'm just going to suppress it, let's bring it down. Sometimes bringing it down means walking away, but then they still have, who has the responsibility to then bring it back in order to have the conversation, because the conversation still has to be had.
Right. So what we do know is that anger and intellect are inversely proportional. Right. Anger is the wind that blows out the lamp of the mind. So the more anger you get, the more angry you get, the more emotional you get, the less you're thinking, the more you're just saying and expressing, right? And men can't afford that. And so a man's objective, the goal is to bring it back to a level playing field where the woman, not only can he operate from an emotionally healthy space within the conversation, argument, disagreement, whatever it is, but he can also bring her back so that she can operate from an emotionally healthy space. Because ultimately, like you said, it has to be resolved, but it can't be resolved if it's here. Right. So, like I say, I will end the conversation, and there have been times even before I got to this place, my wife would just get quiet, because she got to a point where my wife, she has a pretty quick temper, and she would say things that she couldn't take back. And so she got to the point where she would just be quiet because she didn't want to risk saying more than she meant to say. Right.
And so that takes a mature level. That's a maturity that comes into place. And saying, you know what, my tongue is a little sharp, and I have to bring it down and leave this alone, because if I don't, I'm going to say some things I can't take back, because once you say it, it's out there. And then once you say it to a man, he holds on to that. And it's not necessarily that he's trying to, but if you say something that emasculates him, it will tear him like a knife going through his skin. So you have to be careful with the things that we say, because our mouths, there's power in the things that when women can. We have been going, we are into almost 2 hours.
Yeah, we went long today.
This was pretty good. We had a lot of fun in today's. We got any more
Kimberly says,
okay.
I'm sorry.
Let's hear Yogi first.
There you go. Okay. A man to exist out of his ego is king behavior. I call in a king. All right. I can dig it. Katina says, I've been wronged like many others, but black man is still king to me.
Absolutely.
Right? And Kimberly says, absolutely correct. Energy is everything.
It
To
is.
the point that you were just making, I think that, people say that men are logical and women are emotional. But I disagree with that. I think that we're all emotional beings with the ability to be logical. We're all emotional beings with the ability to be rational. And but men are emotional too. And I know a lot of men don't like to hear that, but it's not a logical decision to punch a hole in the wall,
Mm-mm.
right?
Mm-mm.
That's emotional. It's
Yeah.
not a logical decision to have been married for 10, 15 years and destroy your whole family because a cute girl said hey to you. That's an emotional decision to pursue that endeavor, right? So we're all emotional beings with the ability, with varying degrees of ability to be logical, to be rational. So
Right.
to the point that you were making, I think that if you say the wrong thing to anybody, it can have a very lasting ill effect. Sticks and stones break bones, but words never hurt you is the biggest lie ever told.
Biggest lie. The thing is that I tell my clients all the time, a man's anger is equivalent to your tears. That's his emotion. That's how he's been taught to do so, because he's been taught not to cry. Boys don't cry. You don't cry. You've been a little punk. Don't be doing this. Don't be doing that. We got somebody in from Greece. Hello. Hey. All right.
What up, Greece?
So, we have to understand that it's not that he's not emotional. He just doesn't express it the same way as you do.
And that's only because we weren't taught that it's healthy to express ourselves. Well, we weren't given healthy tools of expression for our emotions. And so we'll hold that thing in until it, to ultimately many of us explode. Yeah.
Yep, until you get to that point. And that's the same thing he does, even to the comment that Coach Vaun said earlier, is that he'll wait till things get to the place of exploding before he decides that he needs help.
Yep.
He will get to that place. He'd be almost out of blood. Okay, now I need a transfusion. What? Oh, she said, Kimberly says, a woman uses her words to strike a man. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then men cry in reverse. Wow.
Yeah, she's gonna be a lot of fun.
I can't wait to get her on here.
Yeah, I can't wait. That's gonna be good.
Yeah, we're gonna have fun with that. So yeah, this is really good. Thank you all so much for really tuning in and really engaging with us. This was great. Make sure that you are subscribing to our YouTube channel over at the His and Her Perspective show on YouTube. Subscribe to that channel and hit the red bell so that you can get any of the videos that we upload. Go over to our IG, show us some love, and follow us over there. Make sure that you're following Coach the Love Alchemist Facebook page and Coach Michelamonè Facebook page. Keep abreast of us. If there's something that you feel like we should be talking about, make sure that you drop that in the comment section. If you didn't want that to be if you don't want us, it to be shown on the comments, drop us an inbox, or you can email us at harmony@hisandherperspective.com so that we can discuss some things that you want to discuss. If you want to, if you're in a relationship and you're going strong and you want to be highlighted on one of our shows, make sure that you send us an email at harmony@hisandherperspective.com for that too. Because we are doing some great things. Talk about our podcast again for those who came in late.
Yep. So we have a podcast. It's on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean. We're on Pandora. We're on various different outlets. So subscribe to our podcast. I just dropped a link in the comment section for our YouTube page. So again, please go and subscribe. On those podcasts, please give us a nice rating and leave us a nice review. We would greatly appreciate that. This was a fun show. I mean, we went 2 hours. This time flew by. Good engagement. And look, y'all, there are some couples out here that are winning in their relationship, but they're not winning because they're doing extraordinary things. They're winning because they're doing ordinary things better than everybody else.
Yes.
And so one of those ordinary things is don't let your relationship get all the way to the point where it has failed beyond repair. If your relationship is in trouble, do not hesitate to reach out to one of us, either one of us, or even both of us if you feel like that would be beneficial. Because ultimately, we don't care which one. All we care is that you and your relationship wins. So
Absolutely.
we want to thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it. We love you tremendously.
Talk to y'all later.
Peace.